see. Let's see if I can get this going again. All right. Abiyah, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to speak some things. Let it be according to your will and purposes, always. Blessings. Shalom. All right. Well, look like I might be having some problems on the streaming, but I will definitely go ahead and keep recording. All right. Well, I just feel like talking again. So since I feel like talking, I feel like why not talk and also add some stuff to the talk. Yeah. So I got a folder here. Let me see if I can get it ready. And let's see. I've been sharing some of my takes, what I guess can be viewed as opinion and my thoughts, but I think it's more than that. I think a lot of times, okay, let me get it on here. A lot of times people can benefit from your perspective. And so I'm gonna run with my perspective. That's all right with you. All right. All righty. So in that, I'm gonna share my thoughts and my opinions and see what you got to say with that. All right, here we go. Let me share the screen. I got it lined up what I want to talk about right here. Should it be there? Where's that? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. All righty. Where is that? Share and share. All right. Right here, you have the Pope kissing the hand of a Rothschild. You usually see people kissing the Pope's hand. Those that acknowledge his authority. But as you see, he's kissing a Rothschild's hand. So he's actually acknowledging someone's authority here. All right, let's see. I think I might have picked up the wrong app to play the pitch, put the picture in. So I'm gonna go in and get another one. But that was picture one. Let's go and find another media because I want to be able to keep flowing. And that one was not working, not the way I wanted it to. So let's see, find another. Or I can just run through them. Let's see, yep, I found another. All right. All right, so now I get back to sharing my screen and forgive me for the slowness, but okay. All right, this right here is the United States Senate shield. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit because what I want to emphasize is this hat right here. This hat is called the Frigin Cap. Frigin Cap. I used to call it Frigin Cap. My brother corrected me and let me know I was pronouncing it wrong, but Frigin. It stands for liberty, they say, but the liberty has, there's some stipulations to the liberty. As long as you're doing what those over you are telling you, you have freedom to do that. Frigin Cap. This is also a cap that showed up in biblical times and stuff of that nature, where you had persons given over their authority and they were charged to do some things, maybe assassinate or kill some people. But look into Frigin Cap. It's Phrygian, Frigin Cap. Some interesting details there. Okay, Let's get this down to where it was and see if I can move. Okay. All right. Many people participate in Mother's and Father's Day, but this is a meme, of course. But when you start looking into stuff, you find out Queen of Earth, as well as, you know, things of that nature, that these dates are actually picked up on. Excuse me. Diana. There is Ashtar. It's a couple of other ones. Basically, you're actually celebrating the Queen of Earth or Queen of Heavens, as well as, you know, that the Mother Earth. And so that's what you're actually worshiping when you participate. That you notice that it's always on a Sunday. So it's connected to sun worship, but of course, people don't want to acknowledge that. Sun worship. Notice just a meme, so let's keep going. Right here, you have a picture. This is actually Tammuz. And so right here, where I'm moving my mouse, this right here is a cross that he has in his hand. It's again, an idol of sun worship. The cross is an idol of sun worship. Many will say that Yahusha died on the cross, but actually he died on a stauros. Stauros is a stake, but it's not a cross. You know, sometimes they would put the beam on the arm or whatever, and it would form a capital letter T almost, but not exactly a cross. All right, this beam. Enabler. What is an enabler? A lot of us probably deal with people that are enablers. You know, we have people that in our families or friends that have habits or have things that they do that, you know, they probably need to stop. But enabler is one that enables another to achieve an end, especially one who enables another to persist in self-destructive behavior by providing excuses or by making it possible to avoid the consequences of such behavior. What does scripture say? When I say to the wicked, O wicked man, you shall surely die, and you do not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. Ezekiel 33:8. See, a lot of times people tell me I judge or whatever, and when I call out situations, when I try to hold people accountable, I try not to enable them. And actually, it tells you by scripture that when you have a warning given by Yah and you don't give it, you'll be just as guilty or held accountable. That wicked person will get their judgment, but also you will also have their blood required at your hand. All right. Transatlantic slave trade. You know, I got into a disagreement with one of my, used to be friends, a Jamaican guy, when I told him basically the difference between us was, a boat stop. And so he didn't see this as a good thing or whatever, but, you know, I was not trying to be negative or anything or trying to disparage him or say anything to slander him. I just let him know that, you know, we all came from the land and that he was Israelite. You know, he's a Christian, you know, by his faith, but he did not want to hear this. And, you know, it's like, you know, basically I told him the only difference between us, you know, it says right here, the only difference between a Puerto Rican, Dominican, Jamaican, Haitian, Cuban, and an African-American is a boat stop. Now, I don't recognize myself as an African-American, but other people may, you know, call me that. But I see myself as a Hebrew, an Israelite, you know, one that basically came from over on the transatlantic slave trade. Now, this map right here is pretty interesting. I still see people having discussions and arguments over this. You know, they basically saying, you know, that Israel is not a part of Africa, which is funny to me because when you, you know, check out video and you check out information, you'll find that what they call even the Middle East as well as Israel is on the same tectonic plate, which is called the African tectonic plate. So for thousands of years before European geography, Arabia was part of Africa. But now they want to have it separate. And one of the funny things that gets me is, okay, if you have a Middle East, where is, you know, the right or the left? If you have a middle or the top or the bottom, you have a middle, you should have something opposing that, or, you know, something on the opposite of that when you have a middle. Never heard of those things. So it sounds made up. And so what continent? Because Africa in itself is, you know, even though that we can debate that name, but Africa in itself is a continent. So there are many countries in that continent, and Israel is just one country in that continent. You know, so Middle East, what continent is that? You know, they just say Middle East, but it still has to be on a continent. All right, Middle East is not a continent. Now, this is used to be one of the funniest memes to me always, you know, because we know that Yahusha, or, you know, they called him Jesus, was sent to Egypt as a child. And so it's like, okay, if he was Caucasian, as we were taught, and knowing that Egypt is a dark land, they're descendants of Ham, how would he not be exposed and stick out like a thumb, like this young child is? You know, it's nothing derogatory against this child, but this right here is a good contextual situation to show that the context is off, to say that Yahusha was anything but similar to those that he was able to hide among. That's crazy. All right. All right, this is the evolution of days. You know, well, no, the Christmas elf, excuse me. Yeah, that's, oh, I got something similar like this with days, but you got Azazel, Baphomet, Pan, Krampus. Krampus is, you know, that's the Christmas elf that most people have heard about in other lands. The Black Pete, and then the modern elf. And then the evolution of Santa Claus. You have Nimrod, Baal, Osiris, Odin, St. Nicholas. Now, there is a St. Nicholas. It's funny. You know, they used to always have St. Nicholas as a Caucasian man, but St. Nicholas actually was a melanated man. Santa Claus and Santa Claus. All of them are demonic. There's nothing good about it, even though they paint it up to look good or whatever and stuff. If you switch up the words Santa, you know, switch up the letters and stuff like that, you know, anagram, basically it's Satan. But of course, they like to make things good that are evil. You know, things that are evil, they like to make it look good. And that's what happens over and over. That we're in a time where good will be called evil and evil will be called good. All right, we're in January. So of course, many have said, oh, Happy New Year by the Gregorian calendar, but by the scripture, Exodus 12:2, you know, this month is the month for you for the first month of the year. Abib, that would be the spring. I think Nisan is what they call it now or whatever, but it's still Abib, and that would be more in the spring, more the March, April time. You know, January, basically the Romans dedicated the month of January to the two-faced god Janus. All of this stuff is stuff you can look up. I know that people say, oh, why do you use memes and everything like that? They hate memes. But honestly, I love memes. Not that I look for them as a source of education or information, but most of the time you get a meme and you start researching it, it causes you to look some stuff up. You know, a lot of things that I had never had a clue about, I seen a meme about it. And when I investigated and did my research, found out, you know, a lot of it was true. Some of it has been fake, but, you know, a lot of it's been true. And it's like, man, I would have never known that because they definitely didn't teach it in school. All right. All of these are basically pictures of Helios, the sun god. You see the Statue of Liberty, you know, and Helios, you know, you have this female and then male, you know, so gender neutral or, you know, erogenous or whatever, however you want to call it, you know, and then you notice that all these different nations have an eagle. And then in those nations, you see obelisks, a phallus. A phallus is key for phallus worship, but it's also key for sun worship again, because this is almost like a sundial. because you can see the shadow off of it, as it hits the ground or whatever. And so you have sun, God, and a way to see the sun or tell things by the sun, and you have an eagle. Basically, all of these are confederate nations to one another against Yahuwah. But yeah, move on. I know we just had Martin Luther King Day, but it's funny, his whole message and everything. People, they love him today, and honestly, his last speech was one that really was something to me, because he said he basically got his people to go into a burning building, and when you look at some of the stuff, it really made no sense. But you see, he was hanging out with, Nelson Rockefeller and hanging out with the Rothschilds. He's smiling. He's in, a pleasant mood. He didn't see them as hostile, not by their actions and everything like that. It's funny to me, a lot of the stuff that went down, I don't agree with. And people say, well, that was a progress. There's no way in the world I ever want to eat at a place that a person doesn't want me to eat at. No way I want to eat food from a person who hates me. Someone is preparing your food, you're not watching them prepare it, and they don't like you. Likely something's going to happen to that food. I think that's just crazy. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Oh, I skipped a few. Let me go back. This just one is one I want to read. It's interesting to me. Single mothers of boys, your son is not your king. See, a lot of times these young boys are taught that they're the man of the house. They don't want to step out of that role and make room when there becomes a man interested in the mother, and he's seeking to be the man of the house. Okay, let me read. He is not all you need. He is not the man of the house. He is a boy who needs a father or a fatherly role model. Don't dilute him into thinking he's the man, because he'll grow up to devalue men and fathers and probably be a bad one himself. Don't let your bitter, false sense of independence infect him. Be positive. Smarten up, have class, work hard, and attract a good man, because you both need one. Man is the head, and I get it. My father was absent and stuff, so my mama stepped up and handled that. But she'll tell you all day she was not a man. She was not my father. She was not looking for no Father's Day's gift, because she was not my father. And she noticed that I was absent or I missed having that father. But she never spoke a negative word against that man. Everybody else did, though, but she didn't. And, I still deal with the battles of not having a father, in some of my ways and stuff like that. I like to talk a lot. Being around women, talk a lot. So Facebook don't do it for me, really, because you're really not talking. You're typing, texting. I do a lot of that, but I like to talk. Don't get to talk much because most people don't like to talk. All right. But still, that boy has an attitude, honestly, I try not to always bring my experience into the situation, but yeah, I have an experience with this, definitely, and they tag teamed against me, and it was not a nice thing or whatever. And I get it. I stepped in, and he was jealous of me. He was upset of me, and that, kept them two against me, because anything I said to him, it was seemed as, I was trying to abuse or hurt him. And no, that was not the case. I'm the man of the house. I was being that. But if you have a mother that's only used to being a disciplinarian of her child, and you come in and try to do that, it may be a problem. Most women, though they may trust you with their own bodies, they don't trust you with their children a lot of the times, because they've been doing it for so long. They don't always trust you. Okay. Now, this is something I would tell you the fact check, but I found that they basically use skin of slaves to make clothing items, and they even kept slaves skin for trinkets and items, almost like souvenirs. When they would actually kill or burn or whatever, they would skin some of them. They really like getting the phallus of a man. Yeah, they would do all that. You can look that up. I know right now with all of this thing trying to get rid of I forgot what they call it, the critical race or whatever. They're trying to erase anything negative against Caucasians, but history is history. It's the truth. Nobody has to hate them, but it's still the truth. I don't know why somebody would not want to deal with the truth. I was watching something the other day, and it was talking about how, they told us that George Washington, was a man of integrity. He never lied, but they never talked about, him owning slaves, never talked about, him having dentures made of slave teeth, all of these different things, harsh realities towards slaves. So, they try to make this man into a hero, but in actuality, he was a monster towards us. He was a monster. All right. Clean foods and unclean. Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14 speaks on this. And see, one of the things that coming out of Christianity, we had it as, oh, you could pray over the food or whatever it was. But one thing you learn is you start really investigating into Hebrew culture and heritage. Certain things were not considered food. And people say, well, all things that Yah made, they would say God, all things he made is good. And that's true. But it's good when it's actually operating in its purpose and an intent. So when you look at a lot of the things that you consider unclean, they actually are waste management. They are the, I guess, trash men or garbage animals of the world. So you would have the pigs that's eating up dead bodies and stuff like that. You would have the shrimp and the crabs and the lobster and stuff like that eating all the dead carcasses in the water. So you had, things that are dying, things that are sick, things with toxins, things with poison. They had to be removed. And these animals could eat those things, or, they could deal with them and not kill them. So when you eat these animals, you're actually eating the dead bodies, the feces that they eat. You're eating the toxins and the poison, all of that. You're ingesting those things. It would not kill them, but it will kill you. Interesting. All right. Now this one right here, it really got me. So they used to say that there were 6 million Jews that died, and in I guess the World War II or World War I, one of the Hitler is supposed to have killed 6 million. But one thing I had noticed that when I started looking through the population of those areas, that the total population was around 6 million and stuff. So how did he kill 6 million? And so when you start looking down the tally of this, you'll see that it was nowhere near 6 million, because the total population was closer to 6 million. So the total population didn't die. So it's like, man, how did they get these numbers? But the number 6 is very important to a set group of people, the Gentile people, the real Gentiles, those that are of Japheth, Ashkenaz now. Okay. Now, everybody always want to talk good about Abraham Lincoln, but every time I see this right here, I'm like, this right here is not a good thing. You have supposed to be emancipation going on, but a Hebrew, black, slave, African American, whatever you want to call him, but he's kneeled down at his feet and his hand over him, almost like his pet. If you emancipate or you free somebody, you bring them to level standard. This right here showed, it was not a releasing to be at level standard. Otherwise, he would be standing up next to him. But no, he's still beneath him. It was never meant for us to stand and be at level. You know, we used to originally be the head and ended up the tail. And that's the way that this government and this nation, you know, they really want us to stay as the tail. They don't want us to be the head. Sorry. You know, I know some people think of equal rights and all these different things, but they see us as beneath them. You know, the word minority, if you look up the legal definition of it, it basically says we need to have someone as, you know, someone over us. We need to have someone, I forgot, I can't think of the terminology, but a minority needs to have a guardian or somebody over, somebody to facilitate for them. You know, it's not saying that, you know, a smaller number as we would think, but it actually means you need to have somebody over you to guardian you or watch over you. It's a smack in the face. All right. Now, when you start looking into the Buddhist language and stuff like that, and over in their culture, their religion, you'll find out that they have a demon or a god they call Thugi, and then Diva. And people always say, well, it's not spelled the same. It's not spelled the same. One thing that we got to get past is that spelling is according to the person who's doing the spelling. You know, I know that, you know, here in English, you know, in this land of America, whatever, we've always, you know, we got proper spelling or autocorrect. But the thing is, every language in every land is not English or doesn't have English, but everything is translated or moved over to English because we are sort of like, you know, living in a dominant culture. So the way we say it is seen to be the right way, even though other cultures say that's not really what it is. You know, because most people don't know that Japan, what we call Japan, is really called Nippon. And a lot of those Asian countries or over there have different names than what we've given them. You know, a lot of the stuff that, you know, that's in place, most people don't realize USA has a habit of using a lot of negative terminology and slangs as derogatory names towards people. You know, I think they call the Koreans gooks and stuff like that. So it's a lot of negativity and stuff that was, you know, put forth. Most people have an issue with the word nigga, and, you know, it's because of the way it was. But if you look at negus actually meant a ruler, Egyptian ruler. And so where the word came from, it was good. And even I think it's found recently, is it I can't think of Nijid is other nigid, other words that have been said positive, that had positive meanings, but they basically use it as a derogatory. I think they were mocking them. You niggas. You know, it became a slander or a negative because they were using it to mock us. But it actually originated as a good term, but now we don't use it. So just like that, you go with diva and thug. Now these terms, which are negative and derogatory, they've made them into good. You know, if you're a diva, you stand alone woman. You know, you're thug or you hard, you don't play. You know, these are the two ancient Buddhist demons, thug and diva. A diva is not a female version of a hustler. You are using demonic terms to describe yourself and your ratchet behavior. Yeah. You know, to worship thugs, they would jump on people and beat them almost to death, sometimes to death. But yeah, keep going. Look it up. Went too far. Yep. Yeah. The police were created actually to be slave catchers. So, you know, you see that star, the badge, plantation police. You know, they'll tell you that, no, that's not true. Yes. Police are really there to protect property, land and property. That's what they're even today. They're contracted to do that. Civil servants. And it was about the slaves. They didn't have police to govern their own selves, really. That's not what they started at. You know, it started with slaves, property, protecting property, and they labeled us as property. Notice the date, 1858. Yeah. slave patrol. But most people won't look that up either. Hi, I'm Evelyn Rothschild. My family financed the Nazis. That's true. Most people won't believe that, but the Balfour Treaty that got the land of what is called Israel now, Palestine, it was given to them because they basically purchased it from England. Got the Balfour Treaty, because they purchased it with getting U.S. into the war. They basically were going to blackmail the USA. Many people don't realize, there's stuff out there, documents out there, but they always argue and say, oh, it's not true. But the Nazis, Ashkenazis, Nazis, they lived in Germany. They were actually friends with Hitler at a time, and they had people living over here. All of a sudden, when they wanted this land, they went to is it Benjamin Friedman? I think it is. He has a speech on it. He's actually an Ashkenazi, and he was telling how, they betrayed Hitler and them, and that's what happened. They betrayed Hitler and got America into the war by telling, basically blackmailing America. America has been housing the Most High's Jews or Hebrews. Okay, my family enhanced the Nazi. We were commissioned by the royal family to put down the American Revolution. We financed the communist revolution in Russia. We destroyed Palestine to create Israel. We were behind 9/11 and in resulting wars. See, I don't know if they were behind 9/11 but there were some people of Israel filming the thing that, they got documents of that. So you got to wonder, because he's connected to Israel, the land of Israel, not the people of Israel, not the nation or the true nation, but the state of Israel. We own the world's central banking system. This right here, you can check that. Almost anybody that's on this over the central bank has Ashkenazi background or Jewish background, along with the Associated Press and Reuters. Yep, that can be checked. Almost all the press as well as almost all the porn industry, majority of it is owned by one group of people. We control all the news you read, view, and hear, and control your governments. We are the bankers for both the royal family and the Vatican. That can be documented and check. Look it up. We are the New World Order. That's 6-point star, the red star, whatever, yeah, that's them. All right. First Maccabees 3:48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images. So you see a lot of old time artwork that has melanated faces. They've redone it with lighter faces. A lot of the original stuff still is in Russia, and most people are surprised. Russia still has a lot of wall paintings, stuff that's historic, that has brown face. Most people, it's funny, would think that Russia was, well, they make it like they're the enemy of the Hebrew or whatever and stuff like that. But it's funny, they could have destroyed that, they could have tore it down or whatever, but they didn't. I don't know. I'm living in America, so I know of many of the atrocities America's done, but I haven't really heard of anything that the Russians have done towards our people. I haven't heard of it. Not especially not in their land. I haven't heard of it. All right, black code. Let's see what a black person is. A black person occurring in constitutional laws must be taken in its generic sense and contradistinguished from white. Now, I had to talk to somebody and let them know in Moorish society, before there was even a USA, the color code really was not about race. The people that were considered white class were the Moors, and actually the black class were Caucasians. And yeah, they were the destitute. And all of that changed. A lot of that stuff, you can still find some of the documents, but it's hard. They really try to, erase all of that. Things back in the days in the Bible time were not based upon skin color at all. It was, you know, a class system. Evidence that the Bible is not a myth. The tale Dan still. This stone, you know, is available, and you know, this right here, I think that's supposed to, you know, be Yahusha. How, you know, but I'm not for certain. Let me see. Let me look at it. I do believe that is Yahusha, but you know, I think, you know, or Yahuda, or no, it might be Yahuda, House of David or whatever. But it's interesting. It's interesting. You know, it's a lot of talk that the Bible is not real and stuff like that. But then when you find things that actually talk about what's there, and you know, all this archaeology that they're finding and lands and stuff buried and stuff, it's like, interesting. For something to be fake, why is this here? All right. Why Coon? The word may have originated from barracoon, the Spanish or Portuguese word for slave pens. You know, they housed slaves in these pens that they were called barracoons or barracks. Slaves were put in before they were being, you know, before they were being sold. Many, maybe from raccoon, which have a tendency to steal, sometimes called Sambo, after the character Little Black Sambo. But barracoons. So was it exactly about raccoon or barracoon? All right. Every black child in grade school is taught about Adolf Hitler. Yep. Killed 6 million Jews. There go that 6 million that people need to look at it and look at what was the actual population of Jews in that time altogether. And if it wasn't 6 million or close to 6 million, you know that it wasn't 6 million that died. And it is the worst human being ever lived. On the other hand, children are taught Right Honorable Cecil Rhodes, the founder of De Beer Diamond Company in South Africa, who killed 10 times the number of Africans, is a hero and a statesman. If they study hard and do well in school, they may be eligible to win a Rhodes Scholarship, the oldest and most celebrated international fellowship awards in the world. They don't mention the scholarships are paid for by the blood of their ancestors. So it's funny that, you know, they put these two together, but there's also one even just as bad too. What's his name? Can't think of it now, but it's not Switzerland, the Netherlands, or let me see. Oh man, there was a leader that basically went into Congo and he would be cutting off the children's arms and stuff like that for them to get rubber. Man, I can't see that brain fart alert. Can't even remember and stuff like that. But it starts with an L. I can't think of it right now. But I think that was the Netherlands, or was that? But Belgium, wherever. But right now, they still have a whole lot of wealth that they've gotten from the Congo. The Congo, it's amazing how so many nations in Africa are listed as poor, but like Congo had all this rubber. Most of the world got rubber from Congo. Then when you also look at Congo, they have coltan. Coltan, you find coltan in every laptop, every tablet, every cell phone, and they have kids to this day still in the mines getting those things, you know. And so things ain't changed much. You know, they still try to make it like that land is poor, but they rape that land of resources and basically treat the people there, might as well say, still like slaves. All right. If you read 2 Maccabees 7, you know, you will see that there is no way that a Hebrew person should ever want to be Greek. Them folks skinned, oil boiled, you know, killed just so many Hebrews, you know, made them eat pork, all this different stuff that was against our culture and heritage. And they did it in the name of Greece. no way that you would want to be representative of Greek in the, when you see what they did to our people. But of course, you have a whole large amount of people that want to be Greek. They want to follow those traditions and those ways. And it's like, man, why would you not want to be a part of your own rich history? And usually it's because we don't know it. Most of what's our history is the stuff that's in the Bible, which we've been told, okay, that's not yours, but it is. The stuff with Egypt is not ours exactly, but is those that are close to us that look like us. So, melanated people have had a large influence on the world and still do. Hip hop, all of these different things, we set the mold, set the mood and the mold for almost everything, but yet we get the least amount of credit and the least amount of resources from doing so. Yep. Jubilees 23:26. In those days, the children shall begin to study the laws and to seek the commandments and to return to the path of righteousness. What days is that? Right now, you have, see, I'm wearing my, got fringes on, reminding me of, where it's actually for other people to see, to be reminded of the commandments. But you see more people walking in the commandments, more people keeping Sabbath now, more people speaking and teaching from the book in a Hebraic, point of view, seeing that the book is actually a cultural and history book of Hebraic people, Israel. You have more people now teaching and going that direction than I've ever, heard of in my life. I just came to it, but I need to actually write the date down, but it's been over 6 years now. But yeah, I'm starting to lose the amount of years, which to me, I guess is a good thing. It's saying that, this is overwhelming and taking over a lot of the indoctrination that I've gotten from Christianity. I still have a lot of that Western influence and a lot of that indoctrination and dissonance that's operating in me. And it affects how I read the scripture even to this day. And I'm trying my best to work that out of me so that I can actually read this text how Yah wanted it to be read. William Tinsdale, he was the first one to actually put what we call a Bible in English. He was tried on a charge of hearsay, mistranslating the Bible, and anti-clericism, and condemned to be burned to death in 1536. See, the original text, had the name or whatever, the Greek text, I should say, had this name right here. And then, Tinsdale had Iosis. And then, of course, the Church of Rome had Jesus. They had the original text that had, the Tetragrammaton or Yod He Vod He, he put Iowa and they put the Lord. But the most interesting thing was, what was called an ecclesia, he made sure to have congregation. This word church, which actually is a pagan word, is actually the sun goddess that I talked about earlier, Helios. His daughter also, her name is pronounced church. It's not spelled this way, but it's pronounced church, Kirk, church. And, place of worship for her, sun god, sun worship. But let me move past this because most people ain't trying to hear that. You can do that also, look that up. Look up Kirk, Kirche. Look up, sun goddess, Kirk. Look up, let me see, sun goddess Kirk, daughter of Helios, those things, and it'll show, even the word church actually means Kariakon and not ecclesia. Ecclesia actually does mean congregation or assembly, but they fit that in because they had an agenda. Church of Rome, these descendants of Japheth, Shittim. All right. See, this type of stuff right here still had me pissed off to the day. You're going to use one of our children as a footrest and stuff like this. This stuff was acceptable in the South on a regular basis. And what could you say? One sitting next to him, holding the plate, platter, and he got his drink, and one is his footstool. Just imagine if these were your children, and seeing the slave master children watching your children as a footstool as they grow. What do you think your children will be viewed as? How would your children feel? See, a lot of folks say, well, I didn't never do anything like that, and I wouldn't do, but you witnessed it. You benefited from it. How could it not affect your perspective? Come on. Really? Really? That goes back about, the picture I showed earlier with Abraham Lincoln, the man kneeling down and got his hand over his head like his pet. Right now, he's a footstool beneath him. Both pictures beneath him. That mindset and that way, and come on, is there. But let's go. All right. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. See, this is the Staros that I was talking about. That's what a Staros, look like. Sometimes it would have a thing across or whatever, and it would be up high or whatever on the top or whatever, but it's a stake. All right, keep going. Is that it? That look like that's the last one. I had more, but I didn't want to go for hours or whatever, because I got so many whatever, but I just wanted to talk and share. And I would hope that anyone seeing this, get in the comments, say what you want to say. Let's have a dialogue. That'll add to the conversation. I know a lot of you hate memes and think memes are garbage, but they bring forth information that you can look up. No, there are some bad memes. There's some false ones all day. But, and notice I didn't have one to deal with this Dovich. None of that, because I try to stay away from that a little bit. But, didn't want to get censored, but this is probably going to be censored because I did talk about some stuff that most people are not comfortable with. But why are people uncomfortable with questions and topics that are based on reality? I don't know. Nobody wants to be the bad guy, but yet people like to play the bad guy. It just is what it is. But y'all, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity that I was able to share. Thank you for the time and those that were available to listen. Let this be another moment in each and everyone's day that blessed them. If it did not bless them, I pray that they were able to still come to some comprehension and see that the information that was shared was based on, it had some of my opinion, but if they look it up, they'll see that there's some truth behind it. So I thank you for that in Yahuwah's name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.